We will continue argument this morning in Case 11-398, the Department of Health and Human Services versus Florida. General Riley.
Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the Court, the Affordable Care Act addresses a fundamental and enduring problem in our health care system and our economy. Insurance has become the predominant means of paying for health care in this country. Insurance has become the predominant means of paying for health care in this country. For most Americans, for more than 80% of Americans, the insurance system does provide effective access. But for more than 40 million Americans who do not have access to health insurance, either through their employer or through government programs such as Medicare or Medicaid, the system does not work. Those individuals must resort to the individual market, and that market does not provide affordable health insurance. It does not do so because the multi-billion-dollar subsidies that are available for the employer market are not available in the individual market. It does not do so because ERISA and HIPAA regulations that preclude discrimination against people based on their medical history do not apply in the individual market. That is an economic problem, and it begets another.
Why aren't those problems that the federal government can address directly?
They can address it directly, Justice Scalia, and they are addressing it directly through this act by regulating the means by which health care is purchased. That is the way this act works. Under the Commerce Clause, what Congress has done is to enact reforms of the insurance market directed at the individual insurance market that preclude discrimination based on pre-existing conditions, that require guaranteed issue community rating. And it uses and the minimum coverage provision is necessary to carry into execution those insurance reforms.
Can you create commerce in order to regulate it?
That's not what's going on here, Justice Kennedy, and we're not seeking to defend the law on that basis. In this case, what is being regulated is the method of financing the purchase of health care. That itself is economic activity with substantial effects on interstate commerce. And
so any self-purchasing, anything if I'm in any market at all, my failure to purchase something in that market subjects me to regulation.
No, that's not our position at all, Justice Scalia. In the healthcare market, the healthcare market is characterized by the fact that aside from the few groups that Congress chose to exempt from the minimum coverage requirement, those who for religious reasons don't participate, those who are incarcerated, Indian tribes, virtually everybody else is either in that market or will be in that market. And the distinguishing feature of that is that people cannot generally control when they enter that market or what they need when they enter that market.
The same, it seems to me, would be true, say, for the market in emergency services. Police, fire, ambulance, roadside assistance, whatever. You don't know when you're going to need it. You're not sure that you will. But the same is true for health care. You don't know if you're going to need a heart transplant or if you ever will. So there's a market there. In some extent, we all participate in it. So can the government require you to buy a cell phone because that would facilitate responding when you need emergency services? You can just dial 911 no matter where you are?
No, Mr. Chief Justice, I think that's different. I don't think we think of that as a market. This is a market. This is market regulation. And in addition, you have a situation in this market not only where people enter involuntarily as to when they enter and won't be able to control what they need, what they enter. But
that seems to me that's the same as in my hypothetical. You don't know when you're going to need police assistance. You can't predict the extent to emergency response that you'll need. But when you do, and the government provides it, I thought that was an important part of your argument, that when you need health care, the government will make sure you get it. Well, when you need police assistance or fire assistance or ambulance assistance, the government is going to make sure, to the best extent it can, that you get it.
I think the fundamental difference, Mr. Chief Justice, is that that's not an issue of market regulation. This is an issue of market regulation, and that's how Congress looked at this problem. There is a market. Insurance is provided through a market system.
Do you think there is a market for burial services?
For burial services?
Yes.
Yes, Justice Alito, I think there is.
All right, suppose that you and I walked around downtown Washington at lunch hour and we found a couple of healthy young people and we stopped them and we said, you know what you're doing? You are financing your burial services right now because eventually you're going to die and somebody's going to have to pay for it. And if you don't have burial insurance or you haven't saved money for it, you're going to shift the cost to somebody else. Isn't that a very artificial way of talking about what somebody is doing? And if that's true, why isn't it equally artificial to say that somebody who's doing absolutely nothing about health care is financing health care services?
I think it's completely different. And the reason is that the burial example is not the difference is here you are regulating the method by which you are paying for something else, health care. And the insurance requirement, I think the key thing here is my friends on the other side acknowledge that it is within the authority of Congress under Article I, under the Commerce Power, to impose guaranteed issue and community rating forms, to impose a minimum coverage provision. Their argument is just that it has to occur at the point of sale.
I don't see the difference. You can get burial insurance, you can get health insurance. Most people are going to need health care, almost everybody. Everybody is going to be buried or cremated at some point.
Well, one big difference, Justice Alito, is you don't have the cost shifting to other market participants.
Sure you do, because if you don't have money, then the state is going to pay for it. Or a family member is going to
That's a difference, and it's a significant difference. That in this situation, one of the economic effects Congress is addressing is that the many billions of dollars of uncompensated costs are transferred directly to other market participants. It's transferred directly to other market participants because healthcare providers charge higher rates in order to cover the cost of uncompensated care, and insurance companies reflect those higher rates in higher premiums, which Congress found translates to $1,000 per family.
Isn't that really a small part of what the mandate is doing? You can correct me if these figures are wrong, but it appears to me that the CBO has estimated that the average premium for a single insurance policy in the non-group market will be roughly $5,800 in 2016. Respondents, the economists who supported the respondents, estimate that a young, healthy individual targeted by the mandate on average consumes about $854 in health services each year. So the mandate is forcing these people to provide a huge subsidy to the insurance companies for other purposes that the Act wishes to serve. But if those figures are right, isn't it the case that what this mandate is really doing is not requiring the people who are subject to it to pay for the services that they are going to consume? It is requiring them to subsidize services that will be received by somebody else.
No, I do think that's what the respondents argue. It's just not right. I think it really gets to a fundamental problem with
If you're going to have insurance, that's how insurance works.
A, it is how insurance works, but B, the problem that they're identifying is not that problem. The guaranteed issue and community rating reforms do not have the effect of forcing insurance companies to take on lots of additional people who they then can't afford to cover because they tend to be the sick. And that is, in fact, the exact opposite is what happens here. When you enact guaranteed issue and community rating reforms and you do so in the absence of a minimum coverage provision, it's not that insurance companies take on more and more people and then need a subsidy to cover it. It's that fewer and fewer people end up with insurance because the rates are not regulated. Insurance companies, when they have to offer guaranteed issue and community rating, they're entitled to make a profit. They charge rates sufficient to cover only the sick population because health.
Could you help me with this? Assume for the moment, you may disagree, assume for the moment that this is unprecedented. This is a step beyond what our cases have allowed, the affirmative duty to act to go into commerce. If that is so, do you not have a heavy burden of justification? I understand that we must presume laws are constitutional. But even so, when you are changing the relation of the individual to the government in this, what we can stipulate is, I think, a unique way, do you not have a heavy burden of justification to show authorization under the Constitution?
So